Today's guest is Keala Kanae. As we mentioned, he started his career as a coffee shop guy. After quitting his job, he became a successful entrepreneur. As we mentioned, he started back in like 2017, and he created his own successful company, led to over $100 million in sales, and also helping a lot of marketers as well, becoming the best version of themselves through learning the marketing fundamentals. Not only that, but also he was able to face a lot of challenges, a lot of hardship, a lot of partner breakups or so, but still he was able to store himself up and get back to work. So today we welcome Keala Kanae. Hey Keala,
Hey, RJ, brother. Thank you so much for having me, man.
truly appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm great, brother. Yourself?
Yep, I'm good. Well, I'm super curious to know about like your journey because I've been watching you ever since I started back in 2017 or so, like kind of like similar time. But you were something like you actually crushed it. You started out transitioning from coffee shop, getting into affiliate marketing, like got that sort of like exponential growth for yourself out there. So can you like do the brief backstory, like how everything started for you and eventually grew up?
Yeah, happy to. I started my first business in the summer between high school and college. So that was 2000. Kind of dated myself a little bit there. Um, and then I basically just failed for years, right? So I failed all the way through to 2012. I tried lots of things in that time. I did a nightclub promotions business, a clothing line, door-to-door sales, cold calling with for like sales organizations,
Yeah.
and I did basically joined like every network marketing company you can think of. I had a car flipping business. I tried real estate, stocks, options trading, you name it. And so 2012, I find myself basically working in a coffee shop for just over minimum wage. I'm 29 years old at the time, living in my mom's spare bedroom. And one day I kind of walked into her room and she was folding some laundry. She heard me walk in. She goes, "Hey, did you need something?" I was like, "Yeah. Do you still have that cardboard box that you're going to take down to Goodwill for that friend of yours?" And she's like, "Well, I do, but what do you need it for?" I was like, "Well, I don't have it. Tomorrow is Tiani's birthday. Tiani and I had been together for about 7 years at the time. I was like, Tiani's birthday is tomorrow, and I don't have any money to get her anything. So I was hoping I could give her one of those purses. So I went in this cardboard box and I picked up a purse that I was going to give to my girlfriend the next day, where I did give it to her the next day
Yeah.
for her birthday. And so that's when I was like, I had basically hit like the rock bottom. I got really, really serious about finding a way out of that situation. And I started to dive into affiliate marketing and really, really take it seriously. About 7 months later, I quit my job at the coffee shop, had my first 5-figure month. That would have been April 2013. From April 2013 to late 2015, I'd already made my first $1 million online as an affiliate marketer. Come about
Mhm.
2016, late 2016, we launched our courses and coaching business in November of 2016. And by the end of 2017, we had done just shy of $20 million in revenue, selling our courses and coaching on the topic of affiliate marketing, which we've gone on now to do over $100 million in sales of those products and services. And then I've had some spin-off companies and whatnot. So I guess that would be like the shortest that I could summarize the journey.
Wow, love it. That's definitely an amazing journey. And speaking of it, as you were talking about, like how when you quit your job and you made your 5-figure month, and like in couple months you made your first $1 million, right? Uh, like this essentially is kind of like a lot of people feel like that is like unheard of. Like how is that possible? Like how it happens so fast? Like how you were able to scale that fast out there? What were the challenges that you faced that time, even though you actually left your job, which was the happy moment for you? Like how hard it was actually for you internally to feel like let's go, let's scale up aggressively, just go ahead and do it. What do you think about it?
So there's a couple things that you mentioned. So I think at first it's important to say that it's not something that happened, from just quitting my job in 7 months and then making
Yeah,
$1 million over the next couple of years. That overnight success story took like 12 years of failure that preceded it, right? So there's all of this life experience that's happening that can't be discounted. And so a lot of times we hear the success story of somebody, but we don't hear all of the backstory. And
exactly.
then we compare our backstory to their success story and wonder why they have something that we don't have. So I think that's kind of important to mention, right? Because those previous 12 years of failure were probably the most valuable years of the journey in the long run. in terms of quitting my job and like going full-time online and starting to scale things up, I was at the time, come April 2013, I was very afraid to quit my job, even though I had consecutively had like $7,000 months, $8,000 months. Like every month my income had been climbing prior to that. But thankfully I had a manager at the time, who really held me accountable. And at one point, um, in I think it was March of 2013, I had been talking with her, and I told her like how much money my side hustle brought in, my side hustle, which was now out earning my regular full-time job. And she's like,
Yeah.
if you're here next month still, I'm just gonna fire you. And I was like, oh. uh, so my income kept growing, and it came time for me to go to this. I was going to this event in Chicago that year, and for internet marketing event. And so I put in my 2 weeks, and she was like proud of me. And I was really, really afraid, because so many times prior to that, I had quit my job too soon, right? And that's one of the things that entrepreneurs tend to do, is we get really excited about something, we're
Exactly.
and motivated, and then we quit our job too soon. Because we all hate jobs or whatever, right? Jobs are like the antichrist or something. I don't know. So um, I was nervous, I was afraid, and um, I was also afraid of like staying where I was in life, right? And that fear was greater, so I had to move forward. Over time, I learned how to basically do the mathematics in my business, kind of forecast my income, keep reinvesting what I was earning back into more advertising, learned how to learn the economics of scaling up an ad campaign. And I just kept pushing forward. And so, that first $10,000 month within not too long was $20,000 month. And then it was $30,000 month, and $40,000 month, $50,000 month, $100,000 month. So, which was really just the process of understanding my business's numbers, understanding what every lead that I generated was worth, what every customer that I
Yeah.
generated was worth in the long run, what was I then willing to pay per lead or pay per customer, and then continuing to just invest that in the front end in terms of advertising, while also optimizing the advertisements, the sales funnels, and all those things to increase conversions along the way.
Yeah, love it, love it. And I really like what you mentioned about most people actually compare the success story to to the backstory, actually, where people don't recognize, like, it takes a lot longer than the limelight the people actually got. They don't have the idea about like what happened prior to that. Actually, love it. You also mentioned right now, which is an amazing topic to talk about, is most people actually first of all love to quit their job because they hate their jobs. They love to quit their job just because the sexy entrepreneurship topic it's all about in general. Do you recommend in the starting when they are getting into entrepreneurship or getting into internet marketing in general, should they go all in to internet marketing to quit their job, or or should they go in and balance or optimize their time, whatever it is, in order to just stay relevant on both sides until this goes like way ahead and consistent before they go and quit the other one? What do you think about it?
So I do have some thoughts on this. It'll probably be contradictory to a lot of entrepreneurs' thoughts, at least in my experience. And the reason is that like I'm definitely more on the conservative side as an entrepreneur versus like lots of entrepreneurs seem to almost be addicted to risk for some reason. But I like to be, calculated and methodical and
Yeah.
not overly risky. There's a lot of people that talk about like burn ship, right? Like comes from the story of Cortez, right? As he invaded, I think it was the Aztecs or whatever, and they like burned all their
Yeah.
ships, and he was like, we're
And they were
either
all
winning, we're winning or dying, right?
yeah.
um cool, I get it. Like a great analogy, great story. There's also a difference between burning ships and just burning your damn house down, and so um I don't necessarily agree with some of the resentment that people have like towards a job, especially as entrepreneurs, where we like resent having a job because we're too good for that, we're better than that sort of thing. When I was finally, in fact, when I was finally grateful for having a job, when I had like hit rock bottom and like got that job at that coffee shop, that was the first job where I was like humbled enough to really just be grateful that I had a job at all. And wouldn't you know
Yeah.
that as soon as I was grateful for it, I didn't need one anymore. Right. But what we resent, we continue to attract back into our life over and over again, so we can learn how it's serving us. I don't want to go too far down the esoteric rabbit hole. But when it comes to a job, I look at it as like it's your daytime investor. Right. So they pay you for a certain set of hours throughout the day so that you have capital that you can then invest into your entrepreneurship, journey, your goal, your dream, your ambition. So no, I wouldn't recommend that people like quit their job and go all in, so to speak. You want to go all in and go with every hour that you have, every waking hour that you have, put in work. That's going all in, right? That's sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night and sacrificing the fact that, yes, I'm not going to get like the best sleep every night because I need to put in this extra time and energy into both my business or into both my job and my side hustle. And that's what I was doing. I had quit my jobs way too soon, many times. And when I was working in that coffee shop, I was getting off work at like 10 o'clock at night. So we would leave around 10, between 10:30 and 11. And I would go home and put in 2, 3, 4 hours till the wee hours of the morning on my side hustle, learning the whole affiliate marketing game, teeing up some ad campaigns, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. I'd wake up the next day, put in a couple hours before I got to my job. And so I was putting in the very beginning, somewhere between 3 to 5 hours outside of my 8 to 10 hour shifts at the coffee shop, and that's just what was required at the time. And to me, that's all in. Not quitting your job, putting your family at stake, putting your family at risk, putting your financial health at risk so that you can go all in on a business. That's more of like, being risk without calculation.
Yeah. So like optimize what fits in the schedule and just go ahead with it in the initial start without risking it all and not taking any sort of like calculated risk, right?
I have a buddy of mine, a business partner of mine, that I've been working with him. We launched a agency, a media buying agency. And right now we're managing about $4 million a month of advertisements for people. We
Wow.
got there in about 2.5 years or so. He started out with me as like an assistant, right? And early on into the game, at one point, before he had become my assistant, he had done some work for me, some side gigs at a time. And at one point, I didn't need his services anymore, so I kind of let him go. This is like pre 2016 or whatever. And one day, he and I are chatting on the phone, and he's telling me basically how like broke he is and how he really needs a client. And I told him, dude, go get a job. Like, what are
Hmm.
you doing? Sitting around at home, too prideful to go get a job, struggling to, you're barely having 2 pennies to rub together, afraid that you're not going to be able to pay your next bill, afraid that you're not going to have, money for food. You think that's going to attract any money into your life, bro? Like that's desperation. It's not attractive at all. Just go get a job. So he went and got himself a job. I think it was at T-Mobile at the time, and slowly became one of their best sales reps, and then transitioned into more of a tech role. And later on, a couple years later, I brought him on board and hired him full time. But he will tell you today that one of the best conversations he ever had with me was the conversation where I told him, just go get a job, because he was so enamored and indoctrinated by all the entrepreneurial nonsense online that he thought that if he got a job, he was giving up, he was selling out or something like that.
Exactly.
But once he had a job and he had money to put back into, his business and keep moving forward, that kind of pulled him out of this like emotional rut. So, yeah, I mean, to reiterate again what I'd already said, I think that if you're on the cusp of like trying to figure out, hey, should I go all in with my business or not? Just look at the risk that brings in regards to quitting the job, right? If you don't have that income anymore, what risk does that create for you and your family? Most people tend to overestimate what they can do in the short run, but underestimate what they can do in the long run. I'm going to quit my job. I got 90 days worth of savings in the bank, and for sure this thing's going to take off in 90 days. Well, it's probably not. I mean, it took me 12 years of failure. And so I would err on the side of being conservative in terms of risk. And if you want to go all in, put in every extra waking minute that you have into your hustle until it exceeds your regular full-time income.
Wow. That's kind of like a checklist of people, for the people out there who need to understand what they actually need to do in order to, first of all, stay stable overall, not to like quit from all of the places out there. I have a follow-up question around that, which is an amazing thing in my mind going on right now, which is understanding the concept of longevity uh, versus having the short-term success. Like, what do you think about of the people who have like they get into the space, get short-term success, and now they're invisible, versus compared to the people out there who might have the exact same success, but it took longer for them to be there, but they're still relatable and they're still in the space even after 10 or 15 years. Like, what's your thought and opinion on that, which you think about?
So if I understand the question correctly, there's some people that like come out of nowhere, they get success and then they fizzle out and we don't like ever
Exactly.
hear from them again. And then there's like those people that it takes them a while, but eventually they have success and they have staying power.
Exactly.
Great question. So I'll share this story with you. 2009, I got hired by a life insurance company to go sell life insurance. And a woman named Brenda was my manager at the time. So I get hired by this company. They have a pretty rigorous training. I spent a few weeks, like I think it was 3 weeks, going out on ride-alongs with her, watching her, pitch life insurance. There was like a 9-page script that I had to learn. There's all these sorts of things. And I didn't have she wouldn't let me work both jobs. Like I was working at a or you're out. So I quit my job and jumped on this thing with her, right? It's trying to sell life insurance at the time. But my first week out in the field, I was number 3 in the state of Hawaii in terms of sales for that week. So I believe it was. So I brought home over $1,000 in commissions my first week out in the field. Now, keep in mind, at this point, I have 9 years of sales experience behind me because I started my first business in 2000. So, I'd sharpened my teeth over the years. First week out, I do about $1,000 in commissions. I was number 3 in the state of Hawaii, I believe, if I can remember correctly, or at least in that office that we were in. And then later on, so we had this meeting. They have the sales meeting every Thursday, right? They put everybody's name on the board of who had crushed it. People are like giving me applause and stuff. I'm like, man, great job. First week out in the field. Insane. And after that meeting was over, I come around the corner in the office into her cubicle. And I was talking with her and she said, I feel bad for you. I was like, what? What do you mean? Why would you feel bad for me? I just crushed it.
Interesting.
She goes, well, I just feel bad for you because what I found over the years is that the people that have to work hard for it, they appreciate it more when they have the success. The people that come out of the gate swinging, you guys tend to fizzle out. I hope that doesn't end up happening to you. Sure enough, she was right. Right. I mean, after like 3 months or so, I was like, oh my God, I'm over this. I don't really like this. Blah, 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 blah. But there was people in that office bringing home multiple 6 figures a year. And I would go and talk with them and they sucked for their first 6 months or a year. They had to like try to work 2 jobs. They would moonlight as a bartender or whatever it is so that they could be full-time in the, insurance sales game and all this stuff. And so she was right. The people that had put in the work and had to, go through the grind and had to figure it out, when they finally had success, they appreciated it. They held on to it. And the people that like somehow came out of the gate super talented, that hit the ground running over and over again, I saw those people fizzle out and leave, including myself.
Yeah.
So I tend to think that, there are those, and I've seen this happen inside of my community. I'm teaching people affiliate marketing, and I see people who like right out of the gate, they might have their first, 5-figure month within their first like 1 or 2 months. It's insane. And they look like a rising star. And I always think back to that lesson that Brenda taught me. When I see that happening, I go, I wonder if they'll fizzle out. And they always do for some reason. But the ones that are in our community that had to grind for a year or 2 years before they had their first 5-figure month, they're the ones that like go on to build a 7-figure business and whatnot. Right. So I think that just like anything in life, if it comes easy, we don't appreciate it. But when we work fucking hard for it, we don't want to let it go once we got it.
Yeah, love it. I remember the quote. It was something like, it was hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yes.
And just like it's right to the point, like as you mentioned about that. Another thing, which is like an amazing analogy that I heard you mention about, and I want the people who are watching and listening to understand, that is skill set without mindset and mindset without skill set. Like you have this amazing analogy around that. Like, can you like let the audience know like what it is and like how it's all about?
Yeah, so I believe our philosophy in my company is that, success is the marriage of skill set and mindset. So skill set without mindset is a nightmare, because you wake up every day knowing that you're capable of more, but because of whatever the mindset thing is, because of you lack confidence, because you lack certainty, because you lack fortitude, whatever it is, you wake up every day knowing that you're capable of accomplishing more, but you see other people who have what it is that you want to have, and you, whatever, for whatever reason, you're not out there going after it. Mindset without skill set, that is, a fantasy, right? So skill set without mindset, nightmare. Mindset without skill set, fantasy. It doesn't matter how much you want to like light candles, sing kumbaya, make vision boards, hope, visualize paychecks
Yeah,
showing up in your mailbox. That's a fantasy. If you don't have a skill set to deliver to the marketplace, it's never going to come to reality. So, but if you marry skill set and mindset, you unlock the dream. And a great analogy for this is, I forget the name of it at the moment, but there was a documentary recently released by Netflix, I believe it was, about the And One phenomenon. So And One, with a basketball brand that was like really, really popular during the 90s. I'll give a very brief synopsis of this because I think it really captures the essence of what it is that I'm saying here quite easily. If you watch the documentary, you basically, it's about And One, who was a basketball brand that decided that they want to somehow compete with Nike. They realized that they couldn't go out and just sponsor, pro athletes and whatnot, because the ones that were worth sponsoring, they couldn't afford, right? And basically, and they were all taken by like the big boys in the arena, Reebok, Nike, these sorts
exactly.
of things. So they went out and they got invited to a basketball game in the Bronx in New York, and they saw something that they had never seen before. People are hanging out of their windows, to watch this basketball game. Literally hundreds of people. And if you watch the documentary, they should have footage of this stuff. Hundreds of people, gathered around a basketball court in the Bronx to watch a recreational game. And when they started watching the game, they understood why. They saw these players that had all this fancy footwork. They made the game super entertaining, and and a lot of the stuff that they were doing was not allowed at the time in the NBA, because the NBA thought of it as unprofessional. And so they saw these really, really talented basketball players that had all of this, this footwork and these maneuvers and these tricks that made them much more entertaining to watch. They decided to sponsor them with their And One brand and have them travel around the country doing these exhibition games. Those games got, those basketball games got recorded. They were released on video, and people became enamored with all of these And One basketball players. And the NBA refused to play them. Most college teams refused to play them. But they
Oh,
went
wow.
across the country, and they built this fame and fortune around the And One brand. And anybody who was, like I was, in high school in the 90s, I remember And One very clearly, vividly. I mean, it was in every it was in every sporting goods store. Really, everybody who played basketball was wearing the t-shirts and the hats and the shoes and all that sort of thing. But we don't hear about And One anymore. They
Exactly.
were
Yeah.
on the rise, so much so that Nike even began to try to also sponsor these quote unquote street ballers, because Nike realized, hey, this company's taking up more and more market share. So they began to see And One as a threat. Now, when the gorilla in the industry starts to see you as a threat, you're doing something. And yet we don't hear about them anymore. But if you watch the documentary, you find out why. So you had all of these basketball players that were, pulled up out of, the ghettos, right? They're pulled up out of poverty. They're making six figures a year, some of them multiple six figures a year. But rather than being grateful for the opportunity at hand, rather than being grateful for the fame and fortune that was now theirs to hold, they began infighting, arguing, wondering, why do you get paid more than I get paid? Why do the founders treat us better? Why do they get steak and we get pizza while we're out on the road? And all these trivial things that they started fighting over. And so they destroyed the company from the inside out. That's when you have skill set. That's a perfect example of somebody who was amazingly skilled but lacked the mindset to capitalize on it. And
Mm.
most of them are just forgotten names now that nobody even remembers.
Oh,
And so, skill set without mindset, nightmare. You'll sabotage even if you have success. Mindset without skill set, fantasy. But put those two things together and you can unlock the dream.
wow. That's definitely an amazing analogy, as you mentioned, and around the story, which was the perfect combination of it. First of all, I don't want to take a lot of your time out there, but definitely it was an interesting conversation. But one thing I want to talk about is, since you've helped out a lot of affiliate marketers really get good at affiliate marketing out there, and you also have your complete program, complete systems, which actually helps people out with affiliate marketing. First of all, where people can go and find that, uh, I would love to let you guys let them know, like where people can access those or be the part of your world in the first place. Can you let them know about it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to check out more of my stuff, I would say one, if you want to learn more about our products, you can go to fullstackmarketer.com. That's FULLSTAQ, right? Fullstackmarketer.com. Or you can just follow me on Insta at Keala Kanae, or hit me up on YouTube. Keala Kanae, just look up Keala Kanae. You'll find the channel. I put out a lot of content
Yeah.
for free that I produce that is good quality. That's really about like scaling your business, your operations, your coaching and consulting business, or your affiliate marketing and that sort of thing. So lots of content out there for free. And if you want to become a client, then go to fullstackmarketer.com.
Awesome. I will definitely going to post up all the links in the description, also in the show notes down below, so people can go and access it. Last question I want to ask is, what is the biggest thing that actually make an affiliate marketer succeed, regardless when they started out, even if they started out back in like 2017, because the way of marketing was probably like different than what it is now. Essentially, like what was the common pattern that actually made an affiliate marketer successful and also relevant? That would be the last question I want to ask.
So I'd say there's a couple of things. One is fortitude, but that's required anywhere in business. You got to be able to like just roll with the punches, put in the work, not get discouraged when things don't go your way. The other I would say is forecasting, like really understanding that your business is, and I still use this today, even scaling up, our kind of enterprise mid-level business. I mean, we're doing about $3 million a month right now, and I still use this. Right, forecasting is just understanding that your business is a set of numbers. You're going to have, if you're an affiliate marketer, you have the commission that you earn per sale, right? So you also have a dollar amount that you earn per lead that you generate or per click that you generate on an advertisement. And so it's basically just the game of arbitrage. If I make $50 per sale, and 1 in 100 clicks becomes converts, well, then divide that 50 by 100, and now that's the most that I can pay in order to get a click. Or divide it, and I want to make at least double my money back. So now you got to really divide it by 200, because you want to be able to get that click and make a profit, right?
Exactly.
So but it gives you, at least as you can understand, I'm just going through the basic numbers, right? Here's what I earn per sale. How many clicks do I have to get, or how many leads do I have to get in order to generate a sale? And then you reverse engineer from there. And that's how you're going to like make sure that you're building a healthy business over time. And then the bigger the gap, the more scalability that you have. That's why oftentimes we teach our affiliates like to start out with more of a high ticket offer that they can promote, because even if they're a beginner and they're going to make lots of mistakes, the higher ticket the offer is on the back end, assuming that it's an ethical offer, assuming that the people selling it actually fulfill on it and that sort of thing. But if you have a high ticket offer, you have the ability to liquidate your ad spend faster, get that money back in your pocket, and you have the ability to make more mistakes. It's going to be more forgiving because the economics of the business are more forgiving, because you can earn $1,000 a sale or $3,000 a sale or something like that. So early stage affiliates, we typically tell them, listen, you got to learn how to look at your business as a set of numbers. We do a lot of training on this. And then also, pick something that you can promote that's going to be a bit more high ticket, where you can earn over $1,000 per sale or more, because it's going to be more forgiving for you to make mistakes in the early parts of your business. Anyway, those are some things off the top of my head, but I could talk about that for days, as you can imagine.
Makes sense. Well, Keala, thank you so much for being on the show today out there. Any last thing that you want to say before we round the show up?
Nothing else that I want to say other than, I appreciate you having me on here, RJ. I appreciate the time that we spent together, and I hope that, somebody listening finds some part of this inspiring. And again, if you want more, just hit me up on Instagram or YouTube.
Awesome. Well, truly appreciate it. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're definitely going to see you guys with an amazing episode next week. Until then, peace out.